Hello everyone, welcome to LUKMAAN IAS. So today on 12th of April 2021, we are going to analyze the important articles from the Hindu newspaper. So let us quickly see the topics that we are going to understand today. So these are the topics that are mentioned. On one side we have listed the topics that are important for the mains exam, and on the other side we have mentioned those topics that are important for the prelims exam of 2021. So let us quickly see these topics one by one. Okay, so the first topic that we are going to understand is about this particular issue, that two tagged migratory birds were spotted in salt pans in Manakudi Bird Reserve. Okay, so this topic is very important from environment and ecology perspective. Why? Because they are talking about migratory birds. So first of all, we need to understand what are migratory birds. These are those birds that migrate from one place to another place, okay, when seasons become very harsh for them to survive. Okay, and these migratory birds move from one place to another place, and these places are very far away from one another. So that's why they have some significance internationally. Okay, and we need to conserve the species of these birds. Okay, recently two species of these birds were spotted in a bird sanctuary which is known as Manakudi Bird Reserve. Where is Manakudi Bird Reserve located? The Manakudi Bird Reserve is located in the Kanyakumari district in Tamil Nadu. It is located in Kanyakumari district in Tamil Nadu. This information is very important because they may ask about location of various protected reserves like bird sanctuaries in various places in India. So you need to remember that Manakudi Bird Reserve is located in Kanyakumari district in Tamil Nadu. And after then, what are those species that have been discovered or that has been viewed? These are these two species. One is known as red shank. This one is red shank, and the second one is known as whiskered tern. Okay, this is known as whiskered tern. So these were the two bird species that were spotted over here. And if we talk about this Manakudi Bird Sanctuary or Manakudi Bird Reserve, this bird reserve has an adequate supply of fresh water, okay, and it gives proper habitat for these bird species to thrive over there. For example, crustaceans and barnacles and the freshwater beets has provided the birds security and shield from the sound pollution. So this particular sanctuary has enough resources that are suitable for these birds to survive in this particular sanctuary. Okay, and the thing is, these migratory birds actually migrate during the winter seasons from September to November, and they migrate over long distances. Okay, and these birds are tagged birds. Like if you see the legs of these birds, in the upper portion of the leg you can find a kind of tag. Why these tags are given on the birds? So that we can identify from where these birds are coming and for how long these birds have traveled. Okay, so Bombay Natural History Society is one of the organization that tags many of these migratory birds, and it is believed that these birds may have been tagged by the Bombay Natural History Society itself. Okay, so the thing is, these tags, in these tags, they have different lines, and the number of lines actually help the bird watchers to identify or to understand from which location this bird has migrated here. Okay, so and these birds generally migrate from subarctic region, and it could be one of the birds tagged by the Bombay Natural History Society. Okay, then if we talk about from where these birds migrate, these are the locations. These birds migrate from Himalayas, China, Mongolia and the Russian Far East. Okay, and if we talk about this particular bird, it was earlier many of these birds were earlier tagged in the Point Calimere or Mumbai, and these are the two places where these birds are tagged in considerable number and they are seen in these locations. So this was all about this particular article. Here what is important that we have understood name of these two birds. One is red shank, second one is whiskered tern. These are like migratory birds, and these birds have been spotted in Manakudi Bird Reserve, and it is located in Kanyakumari district in Tamil Nadu. Okay, and like so it is important that you should remember the location of the Manakudi bird reserve, and you should understand about why tagging is done in birds and from where these birds migrate to India. Okay. So having understood the first topic, let us understand the second topic quickly. This topic talks about Odisha lighthouses hold huge tourism potential. Okay, so you can see this is the image of a lighthouse. This is located in Odisha. Okay, so this lighthouse is known as Falls Point. It is located in the Falls Point Island, and this particular lighthouse, what it does, like it guides the ships. Okay, the ships that are coming from far away locations, or the ships that move from one place to another. These ships get guidance from these lighthouses, because on these lighthouses lights are there that actually guide the ships to arrive in the coast. So in this article they have discussed about 5 such lighthouses. Okay, and they are talking about that these lighthouses can become tourist places, like if we allow these lighthouses to be used for tourism, for building tourism potential. So this is one of the lighthouse that has been highlighted in this particular article. Why it has been highlighted? Because like it is 180 years old lighthouse. It is 180 years old lighthouse. This is British era lighthouse, and you can see this is a very tall lighthouse. Over here you can see there are bands of white and red color, and there is a star like pattern over here, and it is very big. Okay, so this lighthouse is very old. It is 180 years old lighthouse. Okay, it is located in Kendrapara coast. Okay, it is situated off the Kendrapara coast, and other four lighthouses are situated on the land. Okay, so they are talking about 5 lighthouses, and one of the lighthouses, this one, this is known as Falls Point Lighthouse, and the Ministry of Tourism is thinking of making these lighthouses as tourist destinations. Okay, and Ministry of Tourism wants to develop them as hubs under the Sagarmala project. Okay, they want to develop these lighthouses as hubs under the Sagarmala project. And if we talk about length of this particular lighthouse, it is 129 feet. Okay, it looks like a minar. Okay, it looks like minar, like you might have seen Qutub Minar. So this looks like a minar. Okay, so and like if someone visits over here, like they can also see the nearby location. Okay, where we have a massive mangrove vegetation which is infested with crocodiles. Okay, so nearby this lighthouse we have mangrove vegetation, and there we find huge number of crocodiles. So the thing is, it becomes a tourism potential thing. Okay, and apart from this, in this particular article they have discussed few more lighthouses. One of the lighthouse is known as Paradip Lighthouse. Then we have Gopalpur Lighthouse, which is located in the Ganjam district, and this Gopalpur Lighthouse is 150 years old tower. Okay, then like Chilika Lake and the Gopalpur beach will be added attraction if it is developed as a place of tourist interest. Okay, then they are also talking about Chandra Bhaga Lighthouse. So this particular article is revolving around lighthouses, and all these lighthouses are located in the state of Odisha. And one of the lighthouse, which is known as Falls Point Lighthouse, it is located near the coast, in the coastal region, and other 4 lighthouses are located inland. And these lighthouses gives huge tourism potential to the Ministry of Tourism. Okay, and they are trying to develop these lighthouses as hubs of tourism under Sagarmala project. So this is all about this particular topic. This is important from economy perspective as well as art and culture. Okay, so this is important from economy and art and culture perspective. So having understood that topic, let us quickly move to the next topic. We will understand about this topic. What this topic says, it says that de-escalation trend positive, says China. So China says that de-escalation trend is positive. So what de-escalation we are talking about? As you know, recently there has been a standoff between Indian Army and Chinese Army in the northern sector of India, and which is also known as western sector for China. Okay, so there was a standoff. Now after that, like both the sides have come together, they have started discussion so that they can resolve the issue amicably. Okay, and the discussions are happening at two levels. One is through diplomatic channel, second is through military channel. Okay, so military commanders are discussing among themselves how they can de-escalate the situation, and at the diplomatic level also, like foreign ministers are also in talks with one another between India and China so that they can de-escalate this situation. So recently what has happened, the 11th, okay, so recently the 11th round of talks were held between corps commanders, means like military level talks were held, and this was the 11th time that the talk were held between Indian Army and Army of China to de-escalate the thing. So after the 11th round of talk, the Chinese authorities have said that de-escalations are happening, and it is happening for good reasons, and so India should actually applaud the de-escalation effort from both the sides. Okay, and the thing is, yet there was no joint still no joint statement came from both the militaries. But the thing is, the joint statement recently came from the 9th talk between these two, these two countries. And the Ministry of External Affairs in India, okay, the Indian Ministry of External Affairs has also had said that a detailed exchange of views for the resolution of the remaining issues related to disengagement along the line of actual control has happened. Okay, line of actual control is the border between India and China. When we talk about LOC, line of control, it is the border between India and Pakistan. So over here what is happening, they are trying to de-escalate from the line of actual control so that the situation can be brought to normalcy as soon as possible. Okay, between these two bordering nations. Okay, so there were statements from the Chinese side and there was a statement from Indian side as well related to the efforts that they are making to de-escalate that particular region. Okay, a spokesperson from People's Liberation Army on the Western Theater Command. So when we talk about People's Liberation Army, PLA, so this is the army of China. So one of the spokesperson from the People's Liberation Army of China has said that both sides exchanged views on the issues of mutual concern and agreed to maintain communication through military and diplomatic channels. Okay, so both the countries are putting efforts so that they can continue the discussion at military as well as diplomatic channels. Okay, so that the de-escalation is a long so that the efforts of de-escalation can be fruitful for both the countries on a long-term basis. Okay, so the thing is, immediately things are not happening, but both the countries are willing to communicate with one another through different channels so that de-escalation efforts can be fruitful and normalcy can be brought in the border areas. So this article is important from international relations perspective under General Studies paper 2 of mains examination. And this is also important, this article is also important, okay, from India and its neighborhood relations perspective under international law. Okay, so we have syllabus, right, in General Studies paper 2, you can fit this particular topic under India and its neighborhood relations. Okay, India-China relations. Okay, so having understood this topic, let us move to the next topic for the day. This is perhaps the the most important article from today's discussion. This article is very important. Why it is important? This article is important from General Studies paper 3 point of view under economy section and under General Studies paper 2 under government schemes. Okay, under government schemes. okay, under economy and government schemes. So we are going to talk about, okay, like why this particular article is important. This is very important article for the day, okay. So the thing is, the central government has recently decided that it is going to come up with a government scheme. That government scheme is known as Shapahari, okay, it is known as Shapahari. So like I am writing it over here as Shapahari, okay. So central government is coming up with a government scheme that is known as Shapahari. What do we mean by Shapahari? Shapahari means, it is a Sanskrit word. This Shapahari, it is a Sanskrit word. It means superior quality of fishery products which is suitable for human consumption, okay. So this article is about this particular government scheme that the government of India is coming up with, okay. It is known as Shapahari. It simply means superior quality of seafood, okay, which is suitable for human consumption. So we are going to understand about this article, we are going to understand in detail about Shapahari scheme, and we are going to see, like, you know, what is the export potential of seafood in India, okay. So the thing is, you know, to bolster the confidence in India's frozen shrimp produce the country's biggest seafood export item. So you might have heard about jhinga, okay. In Hindi it is known as jhinga machli, like that, okay. In English it is known as shrimp food, okay. So like these people over here, the, you know, these people are carrying those, you know, seafood. It is known as shrimp, or it is known as jhinga machli, okay. So this is the biggest or largest trading item among seafood, okay, from India. And our largest importers, like, you know, we are exporting, you know, shrimp products to different countries, but our largest, you know, importers, like, you know, what are those countries that are importing these seafood? They are United States and China, okay. These are the largest importers of this, you know, shrimp food. And the thing is, last year in 2019 to 20, the exported frozen shrimp worth was almost 5 billion US dollar. Means like of 5 billion US dollar we have exported the frozen shrimp products to US and China. But like there were some concerns also, because, you know, when we are freezing these shrimp food, we are also adding some antibiotics into it, okay. And the United States as well as China, they have seen that huge quantity of antibiotics have been added, and they have, you know, they have denied to purchase these foods, or they have returned. So the thing is, this is a concern for the, you know, for Indian economy, because we want to export these food items, okay. So recently the government of India has decided that, like, okay, under, you know, there is a ministry, you know, and under that ministry we have the Marine Products, okay, Export Development Authority. It is known as MPEDA. The Marine Products Export Development Authority is one of those authorities that has developed a certification scheme for aquaculture product, and this certification scheme is known as Shapahari. So this particular scheme is developed by MPEDA, PEDA. MPEDA. So what does MPEDA stands for? It stands for the Marine Products Export Development Authority, okay. So Marine Products Export Development Authority has developed this Shapahari scheme, and it is a certification scheme for seafood, okay. It is a certification scheme for seafood. And the thing is, Shapahari means, as I already told, Shapahari is a Sanskrit word that means superior quality of fishery products which is suitable for human consumption, okay. But like in India we have a similar program as well, but that similar program is not market oriented, okay. Name of that program is National Residue Control, okay, program. We have National Residue Control program, but like this program was brought, why? Because this is a certification scheme, and it was proposed as a market based tool for hatcheries to adopt good aquaculture practices and help produce quality antibiotic free shrimp products to assure global consumers, okay. So under this scheme we will, you know, nudge or like we will incentivize for those people who are who are working in the aquaculture sector, so that like they can produce the shrimp, these frozen shrimp products without adding any antibiotics, so that these can be accepted in the international market. Okay, the frozen shrimp in India is largest exported seafood item. Okay, this frozen shrimp is India's largest exported seafood item, and it constituted 50.58% in quantity and 73.2% in terms of total US dollar earnings from the sector during 2019 to 2020. Okay, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Odisha, Gujarat and Tamil Nadu are the major shrimp producing states, and around 95% of the cultured shrimp produce is exported. Okay, around 95% of the cultured shrimp produce is exported to other countries. Okay, so overall the certified aquaculture products will help exporters to export their consignments to markets under stringent food safety regulations without the fear of getting rejected. Okay, so like if these players, the people who are working in the frozen shrimp products, if they get their products certified under the Shapahari scheme, then after getting certification they can easily export their their produce to those countries as well where we have a stringent food safety regulations. Okay, so that is the importance of this particular scheme. This Shapahari scheme is based on United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization's technical guidelines on aquaculture certification, and it will have two components. Okay, so this particular scheme is based on United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization's technical guidelines. So UNFAO, you might have heard about Food and Agricultural Organization. So this particular scheme is based on the guidelines of this particular organization. Okay, and the thing is, it has two components. One is certifying hatcheries for the quality of their seeds, and separately approving shrimp farms that adopt the requisite good practices. So the thing is, on one hand, what we are doing, we are certifying those hatcheries, okay, so that they can produce quality seeds, and at the same time we are also approving shrimp farms to adopt requisite good practices. Means like shrimp farms will be approved, they will be approved as Shapahari approved product producers. Okay, so that they can adopt requisite good practices. Okay, the certification of hatcheries will help farmers easily identify good quality seed producers. Those who successfully clear multiple audits of their operations shall be granted a certificate of period of 2 years. Okay, so those agencies that shows that they clearly or they successfully clear many rounds of audits, okay, will be granted 2 years of certificate, so that for 2 years they can work uninterruptedly, and so that their produce are accepted in the international market. Okay, the entire certification process will be online, and it will minimize human errors and ensure higher credibility and transparency. Okay, so the entire certification scheme is going to be online, so that human errors can be reduced. Okay, and at the same time higher credibility and transparency can be ensured. Okay, so this is all about this particular topic. So this topic revolves around Shapahari scheme. It is a government scheme that is brought by Marine Produce Exports Development Authority. Okay, and they are talking about shrimp, shrimp frozen food, and this is shrimp, seafood or frozen shrimp is the largest exported seafood item from India. Okay, so this is a very important topic from today's discussion. So having understood this, let us move to the next topic for the day. This is also very important. Okay, why it is important? Because nowadays you might have seen that data breaches are happening on a large scale. Means your privacy is undermined because of various multiple hackers. Okay, so we are going to understand what is the importance of personal data protection law. Okay, so this article talks about that why the personal data protection bill matters. Okay, recently there is a committee in the Parliament of India that is scrutinizing the personal data protection bill. And why does this bill matter to us? Okay, we are going to understand about it. Okay, so it says that the proposed regime under the bill seeks to be different from the existing regime, which does not adequately protect users' data. At this point of time, we already have a data protection regime, but that data protection regime is not sufficient to safeguard the privacy of users, or it does not give adequate rights to the users on a large scale. So that's why the government of India is coming up with personal data protection bill, and the regime under the personal data protection bill is going to be little stringent, it is going to be little different, and we are going to analyze today the existing framework under which the data protection is ensured, and we are going to understand what are the concerns with the existing framework of data protection, and after that we are going to discuss about the about this particular personal data protection bill and the regime that it proposes, and then we are going to analyze the concerns associated with this bill as well. Okay, so this is a very important article for the day, so let us see. Okay, so what is the context in which this particular topic was in news? Recently what has happened, it is reported that MobiKwik, so MobiKwik is an online platform. It is being reported that there was a massive data breach, okay, in MobiKwik that has put into vulnerability the personal data of 9.9 crore users, and so data of these 9.9 crore users are at risk. Okay, it is a very big number, so data of a huge number of people are at risk because of a data breach, okay, at MobiKwik. So we are going to understand what is the existing mechanism through which data is being protected in India. Okay, so as of now we have the Information Technology Act of 2000. Okay, we have IT Act, or it is also known as Information Technology Act of 2000, and this Information Technology Act provides a safeguard for data protection. But the thing is, this data protection regime falls short of providing effective protection to users and their personal data. Okay, so the Information Technology Act of 2020, although it tries to ensure data protection, but it falls short of multiple things. So we are going to understand about the concerns that are associated with the Information Technology Act of 2000. Okay, so we are going to see what are the concerns that are associated with this IT Act of 2000. Okay, so one of the concern is that the entities means those entities like platforms. MobiKwik is one of the platform, then we have Paytm, we may have multiple such online platforms where users are visiting, they are entering their personal data. Okay, so when we talk about entities, we mean these entities, these online platforms. Okay, so under the so we are trying to understand about the IT Act of 2000. Okay, so for instance, entities could override the protections in the regime by taking users' consent to processing personal data under broad terms and conditions. So these entities like MobiKwik, they can have a broad terms and conditions that are so big and so broad in meaning that like users generally give their consent, but once user give their consent, they give their consent for a particular purpose, but like the terms and conditions of these online platforms are so broad that later on these online platforms use the personal data of users for different purposes as well. So the thing is, the broad terms and conditions are a key concern under the IT Act of 2000. Okay, and this is problematic given that the users might not understand the terms and conditions or the implications of giving consent. Okay, many a times like we visit these platforms we see that we have to accept the terms and conditions to proceed with the platform. We do not read them because it is very big terms and conditions. There may be hundreds of pages. So who is going to waste a few days to understand the terms and condition of a particular company? We just simply give our consent, but many a times we do not understand like what these terms and conditions mean and what implications I can have, okay, if I accept these terms and conditions. So this is one key concern related to this particular regime. Further, the framework emphasizes data security but do not place enough emphasis on data privacy, okay. So this particular IT Act of 2000, it emphasizes on data security. It emphasizes that data should be secure, but the thing is, it does not place enough emphasis on data privacy. Like data should be secure, but like how private the data should be, it is not emphasized under the IT Act of 2000, okay. So the entities could use the data for purposes different to those that the user consented to, okay. The user may have consented that like his data may be used only for verification purpose, but later on these entities may use the user's consent for different purposes as well. So that is a concern. Apart from this, this creates a large vacuum for the data protection when governments are collecting and processing large amounts of personal data. Finally, the regime seems to have become antiquated and inadequate in addressing the risks emerging from the new development in data processing technology, okay. So these are the concerns that are associated with the existing data protection regime under IT Act of 2000. Now we are going to talk about like why we need a data protection regime. We are going to talk about data protection regime. So recently, okay, in the year of 2017, the Supreme Court has given a landmark judgment, okay, in the Justice K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India case, and that landmark judgment actually gave, okay, the right to privacy as a fundamental right. So, under this judgment of the Supreme Court of India, okay, that is under Justice K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India, it was established by the Supreme Court of India that right to privacy is a fundamental right, okay. So this is a landmark judgment in the history of data protection. Then consequently means after this judgment from the Supreme Court of India, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, which is in short known as MeitY, formed a committee of experts. It has formed a committee of experts under the chairmanship of Justice retired B.N. Sri Krishna to suggest draft data protection law, okay. This MeitY, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, has framed a committee which is known as Committee of Experts under the chairmanship of Justice B.N. Sri Krishna to suggest a draft data protection law. And the personal data protection bill that we are talking about is a modified form of the report that is given by this particular committee, B.N. Sri Krishna committee, okay. This B.N. Sri Krishna committee has proposed a document, okay. It has given a report, and the new bill is a modified version of the report given by Justice B.N. Sri Krishna committee that was formed by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, okay. So let us understand what is the upcoming regime, what is the personal data protection bill, okay. The proposed regime under the bill means the Personal Data Protection Bill 2019. So under the proposed regime, okay, the bill seeks to be different from the existing regime in some prominent ways. First, okay, it has four important components how this particular bill is different from the existing one, okay. So first, the bill seeks to apply data protection regime to both government and private entities across all sectors, okay. So the thing is, the data protection regime will be applicable to both government as well as private sectors. Okay, it will be applicable equally to government and private entities in all sectors. This was the first change in this particular regime. Second, okay, the bill seeks to emphasize data security and data privacy. This particular bill talks about both the things. It talks about data security, that data should be secure. It also talks about that data should be private, means like privacy of the individual should be taken care of. Okay, so while entities will have to maintain security safeguards to protect personal data, they will also have to fulfill a set of data protection obligations and transparency and accountability measures that govern how entities can process personal data to uphold users' privacy and interests. Okay, so let us talk about what is the third thing under the new proposed regime. Okay, third, the bill seeks to give users a set of rights over their personal data. Okay, this particular bill proposes to give rights to users over their personal data and means to exercise those rights. Okay, on one hand it is giving rights to the users. Okay, users means those people who are using the platform. Okay, this particular data bill is giving rights to those users, and at the same time it is also giving the means how these rights can be exercised by the users. Okay, it is giving means to exercise those rights. For instance, a user will be able to obtain information about the different kinds of personal data that an entity has about them and how the entity is processing the data. Okay, then the fourth thing under the proposed regime is that the bill seeks to create an independent and powerful regulator. This particular bill will create an independent and powerful regulator that is known as Data Protection Authority. In short, it is known as DPA. So we are going to understand what is this Data Protection Authority. Okay, so let us see what is Data Protection Authority. This Data Protection Authority will monitor and regulate data processing activities. Okay, this authority will monitor as well as it will regulate the data protection activities. Okay, data processing activities to ensure their compliance with the regime. More importantly, the Data Protection Authority will give users a channel to seek redress when the entities do not comply with the obligations under the regime. Okay, so the thing is, users will be given the right to seek redressal if these entities, these online platforms are not are not obligating or are not working under the proposed data protection regime. So let us understand what are the concerns that are associated with the proposed data protection regime. Okay, so the several provisions in the bill create causes for concerns about the regime's effectiveness. Okay, so let us see what are those concerns associated with the bill. Okay, if we consider the clause number 35 under the Personal Data Protection Bill 2019, under clause 35, the central government can exempt any government agency from complying with the bill. Okay, so central government can exempt any government agency from complying with the bill. It simply means that like government agencies may be given free hand to use the personal data of users in any way that they want. Okay, so this is a major concern that is associated with this particular data protection bill. Okay, similarly, the users could find it difficult to enforce various user protection safeguards such as rights and remedies in the bill. For instance, the bill threatens legal consequences for users who withdraw their consent for a data processing activity. In practice, this could discourage users from withdrawing consent for processing activities they want to opt out. Okay, so there is a negative incentive also for users of data if they want to withdraw their consent from the platforms where they have already given their consent. Okay, so additional concerns also emerge for the Data Protection Act as an independent effective regulator that can uphold users' interest. Okay, so like there are concerns with reference to the Data Protection Authority as well. The Data Protection Authority that is proposed under the upcoming regime, okay, under the data protection, personal data protection bill 2019. So let us see what are the way forward, okay. Now the time is ripe for India to have a robust data protection regime. The Joint Parliamentary Committee, okay, there is a Joint Parliamentary Committee that is scrutinizing this particular bill, okay, the Personal Data Protection Bill of 2019. The Personal Data Protection Bill of 2019 is being scrutinized by the Joint Parliamentary Committee, and they have already suggested 86 amendments, okay, they have suggested 86 amendments, and they have suggested one new clause to the bill, okay, but the exact provisions of the bill are not in the public domain, so it is not available publicly, okay. The committee is expected to submit its final report in the monsoon session of Parliament in 2021, okay. So this is all about this particular personal data protection bill. This is a very important article. You may expect a question in your mains examination related to the concerns associated with, you know, personal data protection bill, or like criticism of the personal data protection bill. So in that case, you can write an answer taking points from this particular article itself. So having understood this, let us talk about the next topic for the day. This topic says that China, Russia undermine Myanmar response, okay. So the thing is, China and Russia are undermining the Myanmar response, okay. So let us see what do we mean by Myanmar response. As you know, like recently there was a military coup in Myanmar on 1st of February 2021. Under that military coup, the military commander of Myanmar has overthrown the democratically elected government in Myanmar that was under Aung San Suu Kyi, okay. So the thing is, after then there was many countries internationally that have commended these steps, okay, means like that have criticized or that have, you know, condemned these steps taken by the, you know, Myanmar's militaries, okay, Myanmar military. And more than 700 people have been killed by the, you know, armed forces of Myanmar, and these 700 people are mostly innocent. They were just protesting against the military coup. They wanted that their, you know, democratically elected leader should be set free, okay. So the thing is, let us understand what has happened now, okay. The European Union is concerned about the recent development in Myanmar, okay. So they have started taking steps against Myanmar, and they are very vocal about it, okay. They are saying that the, you know, military coup in Myanmar is not fruitful for a long term period, okay. The military should actually, you know, re-establish the democracy in Myanmar. And one of the diplomat from the European Union, okay, one of the diplomat from the European Union said that, like, if Myanmar restores the democracy there, then European Union may give, okay, or will give more economic incentive to Myanmar. Means like European Union may invest more money in Myanmar so that, like, economic activity happens more in Myanmar, and at the same time Myanmar can develop, okay. So European Union is, you know, towards establishment of democracy in Myanmar again, and at the same time they are, you know, they are showing their interest that, like, if you restore democracy in Myanmar, we are going to, you know, invest more in Myanmar. As of now, you know, the previous years, you know, foreign direct investment in Myanmar from European Union was little lesser. It was 700 million, you know, dollar. But the thing is, if we talk about the Chinese investment in Myanmar, it was about 19 billion. Okay, Chinese investment in Myanmar was about 19 billion. And the thing is, recently what has happened, the United Nations Security Council has, you know, attempted to impose an arms embargo, okay. United Nations Security Council has tried to impose an arms embargo, means like they wanted to impose sanctions, okay, against arm, you know, import in Myanmar. But, like, you know, that was opposed by two permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. and these two permanent members are Russia and China. Why these two members have opposed, okay, their export of arms in Myanmar? Because these two countries, China and Russia, are the biggest supplier of arms to Myanmari army, okay, and they gain a huge amount, like, you know, they gain huge money from Myanmari army by exporting these things, okay. So the, you know, the diplomat, the topmost diplomat from the European Union, it has criticized the move of the, you know, Russia and China with reference to this, you know, their opposition to the, you know, arm embargo in Myanmar, okay. So that's the thing. So this is all about this particular article. So this article is in continuation with the things that are happening in Myanmar, and this is going to be in series, okay. Means like every day there's going to be one or other thing in the news. You have to understand how the development is happening in Myanmar, okay. So that's all that I had to discuss with you today, okay, in this article. So thank you so much everyone for attending today's session. I hope you have understood everything that we discussed today, and you have a great day ahead. Thank you.